Roku sent bankroll to Aang. Kyoshi sent bankroll to Aang. Yang Chen sent crazy bankroll to Aang. Gun ain't sent no bankroll to Aang. You know what I'm saying? So I am overly okay with Gun getting out of here. Now, I have heard from a little birdie, no I haven't, I just saw it on YouTube pop up, that as you can see from the title probably, Avatar Studios just upset the fandom. This is by TheAvatarists. This is probably the #1 person to go to for Avatar news. So I am a little bit worried. I am going to nerd out on this video, just a heads up. Hopefully it's not too bad. I saw something about retconning what Korra did, and I wonder if it's about that, but maybe it's not. So let's get into it.
Avatar: The Last Airbender creators reveal why they might just retcon it for new projects.
Is that in the title? Okay, I know it seems like, oh, Stanley, you just read this title. I didn't even see the word retcon right here, I promise. I did not know that's what this was about. I promise you I didn't. That's crazy. With literally like the first 4 seconds.
Surely the community is having a calm, measured discussion about this, not overreacting or jumping to any wild conclusions.
Right.
Oh. Everyone is freaking out because apparently the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender have just confirmed that they will be retconning past Avatar lore for their future projects. Or did they?
Whoa.
And what makes this even crazier is that—
Nah, gang, because there's even comics to it, no? Literally, you don't even have to retcon everything. Korra could literally stay the same. Just remove some of Korra's stuff. Literally, I'm not gonna lie, just remove the last season of Korra. Let's just say the last season of Korra didn't happen, and then just come up with a different ending. And I think everybody would be okay with that.
later on in the same exact podcast, they said something else about the past avatars that also made some people upset, but I actually found that part of the podcast to be kind of funny and not that big of a deal, and we'll get to that later on in the video. But first, let's start off with these retcons. One thing I've noticed with the Avatar fandom is whether it's Netflix's Avatar, the upcoming Aang movie, Seven Havens, or literally anything Avatar related at all, every so often an article quoting an old interview or even a current interview with the creators or someone close to production gets released. People read the headline, skim a sentence or two, and instantly start to panic. Most of the time the outrage is completely blown out of proportion. Other times, however, I can at least understand why people might be upset, and you know, sometimes I'm mad with them. This all comes from a CBR article. I'll leave a link down in the description down below if you want to read it for yourself, but essentially they're quoting from the Avatar Braving the Elements podcast. At the start of every season, Mike and Brian usually appear, answer a few questions, maybe—
Bubble Guppies, it's time for lunch. Jay, if you didn't have a sword next to your name, I would ban you right now. I want you to know that.
In the lead up to it, they'll tease some news and then that never comes out for some reason. But this time was a little bit different. They appeared mid-season to talk about The Legend of Korra, specifically season 2 episode 7, which was called The Beginnings. But also they revealed some pretty interesting things. One, you know, the headline of this video and the headline of this article, that's one of them. But two, this one is for people who watch this channel, or at least on a semi-regular basis. If you saw my last video covering a potential water avatar series that's currently in development and casting voice actors as we speak, well, this podcast kind of hinted at that series. So Jeanette Varney starts discussing the civil war between the northern and southern water tribes, and she starts talking about how fascinating it is that there's 2 separate water tribes, and then Brian cuts her off and jumps in and says this:
two but one.
Two but one. It's very cool.
There's we're you know, we might be diving deeper into that now and stuff we're working on.
Okay.
Dang, with the little smile in the smirk. Oh my God. If I was ever in an interrogation room, I prayed that he's never, ever somebody I could rely on. He cannot hold a secret. Look at his mans. His mans is like, yo, you weren't supposed to say anything about that at all. I pray I would never be in a situation where the person that I'm relying on to not like tell, snitch, or whatever the case is bro right here, because he's definitely giving me up for less than a burger and some fries, gang. But I'm happy because that just means more Avatar, and he actually seems pretty gung-ho about it, so hopefully he's intricately a part of it.
Interesting.
And yet we won't talk about it.
If you've kept up with my channel and you watched my last video about the casting call for a potential water avatar series, well, this kinda confirms that. He's saying he's working on a water avatar series. This was filmed a few months back, and now they're casting for a water avatar series. So many people left comments on that video saying it can't possibly be a water avatar series because the cycle goes water, earth, fire, air. Pavi's earth, so the next one has to be fire. But guys, please just think for one moment. They can always go back and tell stories about past avatars. They don't need to go into the future, or they don't need to go directly in order. It's similar to how the Yang-chan books are actually newer than the Kyoshi ones, even though Kyoshi comes after Yang-chan in the cycle. They didn't go in order there. They don't have to go in order now. Anyway, we should probably circle back to the actual focus of this video, which is the retcons revealed in the podcast that was then later reported on in the CBR article.
Do we have the actual things that they said they're going to retcon? Oh my gosh, that would be beautiful to decipher.
Funny thing is, I actually watched this podcast the moment it went live and never once thought of this as a big deal. And there was something else they said in the podcast that I thought was going to be the thing to draw the headlines if anything at all came from this, even though I personally didn't find that a big deal, and we'll get to that. Avatar The Last Airbender creators reveal why they might just retcon it for new projects. Konietzko went on to explain the reason the situation is such a creative nightmare, noting that these are characters we might be stuck with. Konietzko continued, character designer Christy Sang had to crank out 20 of these in a week. Nothing against Christy. She's an amazing designer. You know, designing Aang, designing Korra, these are things that took weeks and months, you know, refining the design. While the potential issues presented by having so many past avatars already vaguely defined are apparent, Konietzko did offer that should any of these characters not fit into their future entries in the franchise, the creators would likely, quote unquote, just retcon it. When people read the headline, glance at the image.
They can't be retconning like the past avatars. Maybe I understood that like wrong. Hopefully that's not it, bro.
Skim the article and don't actually finish reading it. They don't get all of the context that the podcast provided, and they immediately assume the creators are saying they're going to retcon all of the past avatars, which is just not.
That's genuinely what I got from it. So yeah, I'm the people that he's actually talking about. Wow. Yeah, I'm the problem here. Okay. Yeah, I'm just slow. Okay.
Going to happen. Kyoshi saying they're going to retcon all of the past avatars, which is just not going to happen. Kyoshi, Roku, Yang-chan, Crook, their lore has already been told in the original series and expanded on in both the comics and the novels. Basically, all of the avatars we know a solid amount about are perfectly safe. The avatar where I could see things getting a little bit tricky and retcons happening are the avatars we don't know that much about, like Avatar Gun or Avatar Sito, who is surprisingly...
Yeah, I don't care about those niggas at all. Like, hey, pack dumb up. I didn't even know we had an avatar with a switch. I don't care about him at all. We could overly pack him up. I ain't gonna lie. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? Roku saying bankroll to Aang. Kyoshi saying bankroll to Aang. Yang Chen saying crazy bankroll to Aang. Gun ain't saying no bankroll to Aang. You know what I'm saying? So I am overly okay with Gun getting out of here.
Be appearing in the next Avatar book, which I am personally so excited for. Light It Up, Avatar Legends Benin Academy is a chapter book featuring all new characters going through a tournament arc set in the Avatar Sito era. And they teased at Comic-Con that the man with honestly one of the most underrated feats in all of Avatar, Mr. Exploding 4 Volcanoes himself, will be making an appearance.
Mind you, he's exploded 4 volcanoes as a firebender when lava bending is an earth bending technique. I just felt like that was always unique and we don't talk about that enough. He got that straight out of just the control of the fire, which is crazy.
So I guess we'll see soon enough if this is as dramatic as people think. Originally, when I watched this podcast, I didn't really interpret it the way the article did or all of the fans leaving these comments did. And that's because they gave examples about retcons that already happened that no one even knows about. They even made a joke like, hey, maybe the Air Nomad monks in episode 3, maybe they just got the statues out of order. As we see right here, this isn't Kyoshi before Roku, but later on in the episode, Kyoshi clearly appears, so she definitely existed, just not in the order the monks placed them. And they even mention at the end of book 1, there's another shot of all of the avatars, and that's been the version they've been using going forward. Yeah, so watching the podcast and knowing the context behind all of this, my mind instantly went to examples like that. So tiny details, super small inconsistencies, stuff like that. So when I woke up today and saw this post with almost 3,000 1,000 upvotes
Oh yeah, he's an avatar. Of course he got Earthbend. Completely forgot that. You're actually 100% correct.
and a bunch of angry comments. I was genuinely just a little confused. To put this in perspective, this already has nearly half as many upvotes as the Avatar 7 Haven's first look. And that's not even after a full day of this post being live. If you're someone who cares about the past avatars that don't even have that much established lore, the avatars shown in the Legend of Korra art books are not only set in stone literally, right there in universe and I guess on this page, but probably set in stone metaphorically as well. At least, you know, those 20 avatar designs are probably final. Even I couldn't tell you if they have any lore. I don't know who this is. Like, who is that? Earlier on in the video, I mentioned something else that was worrying some fans. Something I personally thought would make big headlines if anything at all was going to come from this podcast, even though I personally didn't think it was a big deal. Well, here is the clip.
I would say
Your dad
there
bugging.
are more known than I know. Because, I see their names pop up in the comics and stuff.
I mean, now we have, you know, with those novels and stuff, you know, sometimes writers will reference Avatar so-and-so. I'm like, I don't know who that is, but okay, I guess that could be a character someday.
Whoa.
That's so interesting to be world building like that and know, because it's not just any person, it's you.
So both Mike and Brian, the creators of Avatar, have admitted they don't know some of the avatars being referenced in the current media being produced.
Whoa.
Which I find that kind of insane, but
that's
worrisome
like your
at all.
baby. That's like me being like, I don't know what person I was talking about in this story time. Like, dang. That's kind of crazy, ain't it? Yo, I ain't gonna lie, they might got like dementia or something.
And here's why. Now, I would expect the creators to be at least somewhat dialed in on the important aspects of the franchise, like the past avatars, but it's not the biggest issue. Obviously, they have a whole team dedicated to keeping track of the past Avatar lore and making sure there aren't any continuity issues. At the end of every single novel, there's always a section where the author talks about how amazing it was working with Avatar Studios and how the studio guided them so well throughout the entire process. So the creators not knowing every single detail isn't the end of the world, because there is someone there who does keep track of everything and make sure there is no continuity issues. In a recent interview with IGN, they also revealed that there's so much going on at Avatar Studios and it's expanding in so many different directions that they are no
I'm happy that it's at least active, because Avatar just as an IP is just so expansive. The world is so beautiful. Even if they mess up and give us another Korra, I would actually die on the hill of a Korra than die on the hill of nothing. You know, and I'm genuinely appreciative of it in that fashion. I personally think that this is coming from Party Security. I'm calling you Party Security, by the way. I personally think that the animals from Avatar are both unique and uncreative. Oh, because there are always a mix of two animals rather than just creating brand new creatures. Yes, but at least they make them memorable is what I'll say, because like just like a flying bison or a lemur monkey or like a polar bear dog, like those are way easier to know, mention, and speak of than being like, oh, this is a mythical lion elf thingy that has wizardry or something. Like, it just makes it easier to talk about is what I would say.
longer the day-to-day showrunners of the stuff being produced. They go on to say that they've hired amazing directors, talented writers, and a dedicated staff to handle all of that stuff. I really debated on if I should even make this video or not, because I don't really cover topics like this.
Good, DJ?
I try to stick to lore videos and news about the upcoming projects. So if you want me to cover more stuff like this, leave a like and comment down below to let me know. Other than that, I will see you guys soon with a video on Avatar Kyoshi.
You can comment on whatever you want, Gengi. You be giving me good videos to watch too, and I appreciate it every time. The Avatarists. If you guys enjoy the video, make sure you like, comment down below. Twice helps me in the algo. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Let me know your thoughts.